Good morning, Citizen Heights.
Good morning.
Happy Mother's Day to all of you mothers. We honor you. I'm going to put on glasses so I can share what God put on my heart today. They say that you should start with the end in mind in life. Think about what you want written on your tombstone. And in chess, to win, they say, study the end game. So what we'll do today is start in the best place we can, the Bible.
Amen.
Let's start with James 3 and 13, 16 to 18. It says, who is wise and understanding among you? Let him show by good conduct that his works are done in meekness of wisdom. For where envy and self-seeking exist, confusion and every evil thing are there. But the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy. Now the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace. That's us. Let's pray.
Amen.
God, I thank you that peace is sown in our hearts because it's what you put on deposit in us. That we're planted in the middle of your will, that there's an ease as we walk out what you've called us to do. Anoint your word today as I speak, that it would be good seed planted in good soil. It would bear much fruit in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen.
So, like Pastor said, I have one son. So it's shocking to me when I see people with 2 or 3 kids. 2 parents can make 3 kids with completely different personalities. My son also has a completely different personality than I do. He's very easygoing and calm, not unlike Mr. Wonderful over here. I'm calm when I'm sleeping. But my son would always tell me when he was in high school, be like me, I'm a duck, Mom, just let it roll off your back. But even though our personalities are different, the greatest compliment probably that we got from our son when he was a teenager is when we asked him, are we the same people on Monday and throughout the week as we are on Sunday? And to hear a teenager say, yes, you're the same person. Yeah. It doesn't matter as if our personality were different, but we chose to walk in righteousness and live consistently.
Come on. Amen.
In front of our child. That's what we get to do as
That's
moms
good.
And aunties and spiritual moms and fathers. So now I have a grandson. I call him Baby Grand. And he's a little guy. He's AJ, but he's Andre Jr. We call him Andre the Giant. He's got a little body, but he's got a bit of a not defiance, he's got a big personality, we'll say. Yeah. Did you know that grandkids are the reward for not killing your kids? Don't do it. So the time before when we were visiting AJ, he was at the stage where he does the no. And so I took his little hand, I put my thumb firmly in the palm of his hand, and I said, that's a no. And he lives in Atlanta, I live here, so maybe he doesn't know me that well. He doesn't know what my reaction will be. So he put his finger to his chin, and he looked above my head like he was thinking about what he should do. And then he walked away. Because maybe he doesn't know me well enough to know what my reaction would be. Let me ask you this question. Do we ever do that with God? Do we not know what his reaction will be and maybe walk away? Are you far away? Do you feel like you're far away from God? Maybe in some areas of your life, maybe some are great. Can I encourage you as OG, as Auntie Stevie today to get to know him? He's given us the ability to say no or yes. He's given us the ability to say no even to his omnipotence. So in every dilemma, you always have a choice.
Yeah.
So today I'm going to share a little story with you, a bedtime story in the middle of the day. It's a fable. These are gardening gloves. I'm going to have a seat and tell you a little story, children. Once upon a time, there was a land not so far away called Gennesaret. Its tender was the greatest gardener of all time. And he took 3 seeds within which he placed strands of his own greatness that would allow them to grow in their full gifting and ability and purpose. And he took one seed and deposited it into the ground. And the second seed he deposited into the heavens above, the land of Gennesaret. And the third seed he caused to inhabit the land. And he instructed each seed to serve the inhabitants in their sphere. And to the first he gave a will. And to the second two he gave a free will. That's a will and a won't, if you will. The first seed gifted her life back to this gardener in perfect obedience. Yes, she set her will to serve her original purpose. Just like God's plan for you and me, it remained unchanged. She served the gardener's will. She nourished all the land around her, and she served the inhabitants well. She brought ease to their disease. She soothed their aches and was a balm to their skin. She fought free radical agents. She gave them healthy vision and helped detoxify their bodies. She purified their blood and helped them process the fruit that the gardener had planted for them to live off of. She opened herself to thrive in the presence of the sun the great gardener had given her. And in wisdom, in the dark times, she closed herself. She sheltered herself from the rain until it was time for her to be scattered. You know what that means? It means in the darkest times, she used the least amount of words. She didn't complain. She sought the sun. And though many who she came to serve trampled upon her, trampled her underfoot, mowed her over and plucked her up and discarded her, she exercised relentless resilience to the will of her gardener and the purpose for her life. She was even called names other than the one that the gardener had given her, even a weed. A weed is defined as a plant growing where it is not wanted and in competition with cultivated plants. In looking at her at the end of her life, she looked like a gray-haired natural woman, but she submitted to the winds and the whimsy of the inhabitants of the land and allowed her seeds to be scattered to the ends of Gennesaret so that she might serve her purpose, perpetually serving the inhabitants. Maybe you've encountered her, either repulsed by the thought of another weed, attracted by the dome of her irresistible seed. Maybe you've aided her in accomplishing her legacy. Her name, Dandelion. And she says, thank you. The second seed, planted in the heavens above Gennesaret, his sole purpose was to serve the solitary inhabitant with music like that had never been heard below. Everything about him sparkled with light and glorious sound. He fully served, bringing pleasure and melodic joy to the atmosphere above Gennesaret for a time. Then, one day, he caught a glimpse of his own reflection, and he was quite enamored, until he became unduly devoted to his own appearance, a dandy indeed. This twisted overgrowth of his love for himself caused him to become disillusioned with the gardener, to bring himself ease. He gazed upon himself from every vantage, every view. He was consumed with selfies. Distortion of his true purpose caused him to believe this lie, that it was burdensome to serve the one that inhabited the heavens above Gennesaret, that maybe he could tend the garden better than the gardener, that maybe others would find him attractive as he fancied himself. So he began to prowl the land of Gennesaret like a lion, seeking the weak, the isolated, the hopeless, to steal their faith, to kill their hope, and destroy their relationship with the gardener. This ruthless renegade can be found continually lying to the inhabitants of Gennesaret, promising to give them love and joy and peace that they long for, But that was the very fruit that the gardener had already given them. And this renegade's name, the dandelion. And the third seed. Maybe you've guessed it. It's you. And it's me. Unlike the first seed, we have free will. And so here's the point. Since we have been given a greater ability to respond, a greater responsibility, then we have a greater responsibility. So now I pose this query to you, the fine inhabitants of Gennesaret, the dandelion dilemma. Do you choose to live under the care of the great gardener, the great tender, or to live under the care of the great pretender? Remember James 3 says, "Who is wise and understanding among you? Let him show by good conduct that his works are done in meekness of wisdom." Now, as you choose wisely to be the planted seed in the middle of the will of the great gardener of Gennesaret, you will find that your eternal end is satisfied and secure. And you'll soon discover, as you live your life with the end in mind, that Gennesaret is the land of the flourishing. So lest I neglected to inform you from the beginning that this was a cautionary tale, that you might choose wisely the gardener's perfect plan for you in seed and in deed prevail. The end. And I would just encourage you, as the great philosopher Stanley of Marvel Comics says, with great power comes great responsibility. And a friend said to him, with great responsibility also comes great power. Right. You have been given the power to choose, and when you choose to walk in the plan that the gardener gifted you, then you indeed have great power.
Amen. Amen.